chair of the Guadalupe group, and the Guadalupe group is planning to rename itself. So you got any good ideas? There's one in the Guadalupe River, but our zone is really most of Santa Clara County and San Benito, so Guadalupe doesn't really capture that. In terms of the group itself, we're also have openings that you want on the, we call it the executive committee, which sounds very formal, but it's really the group of us that arrange for the talks, good coordinations. Excuse me, I have a poll. So I have any volunteers? Okay. Well, I open this up for people to say other things. One thing excuse me a second. One thing I would like to say, those of you are concerned about different land use issues, it'll be a little too late to vote on, but next month, on November 9th, which will be the day after if you vote, but Don Wheaton is a retired senior county planner. And he's got quite a nice presentation to talk about the issues of kind of planning and open space and such. It brings in some provocative things that we don't normally think about. So one of the key things is an aging population and things like that, and how we got to where we are. So if anybody else, well, I'll ask Karen Mackey, who was here a minute ago, to say a few things. Karen is chair of the forest committee, forest preservation.
Forest protection, but it's close.
Protection.
Yeah, but
It needs all protection.
right.
So that means she's a firefighter.
And Michael, you talked to our group, the Forest Protection Committee, a while ago. So I want to talk about two things very briefly. One of them is I'm hoping to run for the National Board of Directors, and in order to do that, I need 300 signatures. So I'm hoping that you will help me. Will you help? And so I've been chapter chair for 4 years, and I've been active for 15 years. Right now, I'm state conservation chair. So.
And those of us that have been fairly active in the club know Karen, and personally, I think worth getting on the ballot.
Thank you.
Endorse her. You got one endorsement from me.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. I need all the endorsements I can get.
Karen is a very active, hard worker on all the issues you deal with.
Yeah, I was also fundraising chair for Sierra California. So the other thing I want to talk about is Vicki Binker, and she's running for the Assembly District 24. And I don't know if that includes any of you guys down here. Does it include you, Lauren? It's Sunnyvale, I think, as far south as Sunnyvale. I'm not sure how much further south. But she's looking for help at her phone bank. And she has a phone bank that is Wednesday, Friday, Saturdays. And maybe you might be willing to help. There's an address there. And I also have a flyer for her if you
I think I have.
Okay. Anybody else interested in helping Vicki Binker? She's a great person. She's endorsed by the Sierra Club. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, let me introduce the speaker. I heard Michael Roast talk before. His title is Director of Sustainability at Zanker Recycling. Probably about half of your customers. And he has quite an intriguing presentation about how the waste products are handled when we throw it in that bin that we all do. And in particular, I asked him to talk about the biomass, because biomass is an interesting thing. You can make renewables out of biomass, and he'll explain how we may not be using it very efficiently. So with that, let me introduce Michael, and you want to say a few more things?
Where's the,
Well,
where's
I think my
where's
goal-
the soap and water here?
Let's see if I can throw some answers.
Oh, perfect, thank you. So, once again, Michael Gross, Director of Sustainability for Zanker Recycling. Zanker Recycling is a facility located here in San Jose. We do construction and demolition debris, we call that C&D. You tear down a building like this, what happens to it? Does it go to landfill? And it comes to somebody like us. We're quite unique in the industry. We actually get materials from all over the Bay Area. Roughly 9 million people are needed to be able to have one demolition recycling operation, which we have, which is very, very unique. It's nothing like it in the United States. Europe, they have stuff like that in Europe, but construction waste, there's lots of different types of construction waste, type of materials. There's facilities across the country that recycle construction waste. We just happen to have a really, really big operation that not only has a demolition waste and construction waste, but concrete and sheetrock, and we do dry anaerobic digestion, which I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. We have our fingers in a lot of different things, and what we should try to do is control the waste stream, because when you take it in, you got to deal with it, you also got to find homes for that. And that's why, in this case, wood is a huge issue for me. We're the largest producer of urban biomass in the state of California. So biomass is wood chips. You get wood chips or woody type of materials from 3 different places in California. You get them from us. You get them from the yard trimmings that we set out at the street. All that goes to my composting operation in Gilroy. We make compost out of it. But we have these wood chips left over. And most of the time we're selling those wood chips as a mulch product. But there's sometimes during the year, winter, nobody buys mulch in the winter. So we need to have a home for that material, and that material would actually go to biomass. You have agricultural waste. You have all the shells. You have all the trees that are taken out. So what's really interesting, starting to deal with ag type of material, the almond trees, pistachios, they have a life expectancy of about 16 years. So if you put something in, you're pulling that thing out 16 years from now, well, what happens at the end of it? What's life? It's useful life. And what happens to all the shells and walnut shells and things? And there's a lot of different markets for this stuff, but a lot of times it comes down to biomass and having to take care of that product. Then there's also the forest waste. And I am not a big fan of cutting down trees. I am a fan of harvesting correctly, but what I am not a fan of is them just basically slashing stuff in the forest, taking out the trees, clear cutting everything, and leaving a big mess. And there are operators that will do that. Just like there's operators that are out in the agricultural fields that are going to burn materials in the fields. Just like there's operators that work at landfills that are not going to recycle the wood. There's bad actors all over the place. I'm not really going to talk so much about the bad actors. I'm going to talk a little bit about our problem being in California. So, bear with me a little bit on that. I'm going to give you a little lesson about biomass and our history, and then I'll answer all your wonderful garbage and recycling questions. If I don't know it, I will just make it up. Sometimes it sounds funnier that way. So in California, we have goals when it comes to how we generate our electricity. To meet these goals, we built dams. That's what we did. We also built natural gas power plants or peaker plants throughout the state. In later years, the production of renewable energy became another important goal. Right now, we have a goal of reaching 30% renewable electricity in California. So we have solar panels. We put wind turbines in, and of course, geothermal. As a society, we also relied on biomass to be counted as a renewable energy source. Although this was not the primary goal for being built, biomass power plants are important waste management tools for producing renewable electricity as a byproduct. And that's what's really important here.
Is that a truck on there?
What's that? That was a truck.
That was the truck.
That's how you dump a truck.
Wow.
That's how they empty a lot of
Yeah.
trucks now. Don't bother with trying to just tip them out.
That's amazing.
In the 1960s, we had a goal to clean up our air. You go from this to this. In California, the California Air Resources Board, also known as CARB, was established in 1967 when then Governor Ronald Reagan signed legislation. Do you think we get any Republicans to back this anymore? The slated goals of CARB included attaining and maintaining healthy air quality, protecting public from the exposure of toxic air contaminants, and this is the most important one, providing innovative approaches for complying with air pollution rules and regulations. So they're out there trying to figure this stuff out. At the beginning, CARB's main goal was controlling emissions from automobiles, and then followed by industry. Soon thereafter, CARB's focused on smoke emissions from farming operations and timber facilities. So it goes from open burning agricultural waste in the fields and the slash in the forest and the harvesting of timber to the never-ending teepee burners around the lumber mills. Has anybody ever seen a teepee burner? We got one too.
Mendocino County one
What are they for?
They burn the sawdust from lumber mills, and so they never went off. So this would go into valleys and just completely smother valleys. They made LA's air look clean.
They talk about kiln dry lumber, I mean, was that also for dry lumber?
They use some places actually use the heat from it
Yeah.
for it, but in most cases it was just to take care of the waste, take care of the sawdust, take care of the end cuts, things like that. And now in California, you don't see these. I mean, they were all outlawed. Starting in the early 80s, more than 60 biomass facilities were constructed in California to use forestry and agricultural waste more beneficially. The goal was achieved. The biomass power industry helped dramatically reduce the air pollution from local marine in California. Soon, urban waste, like ourselves here at Zanker, found the biomass power plants. Because of AB 939, which required us to get 50% recycling by year 2000, companies like ourselves will start wood waste recycling operations and to be able to keep all these materials out of the landfill. And this is a picture in 1989 of our composting operation in Zanker, which was no longer there, but you tell we've been doing this stuff a long time. In 2000, California had 39 operating biomass facilities producing 846 megawatts of electricity using 6.7 million tons of biomass per year. Between 2000 and 2016, 5 plants were shut down and demolished, representing 57 megawatts of electricity and 438,000 tons of lost materials. Another 14 plants were idle during the same time, a loss of another 265 megawatts and 2.1 million tons worth of materials. 6 of these plants were shut down last year. Between 2016 and 2020, energy contracts for another 6 plants will expire. All 6 of these plants will likely shut down before the end of 2016. Most of them already have. Thus, California will have lost a total of 517 megawatts of renewable baseload electricity since the turn of the century, with the capacity to use nearly 4 million tons of wood waste. Currently, biomass represents 6% of our renewable portfolio. Now, this is one thing that's why biomass is important. It's baseload. We have solar, works great during the sun shines. Wind, when the wind blows. Geothermal and biomass are 2 baseload renewable power sources. And so when you're looking at how we're going to use electricity, you want to use renewable for 24/7. You can't do that with solar.
But how do you do it with biomass? Do you burn it?
Yes. We burn it. Even though all the biomass facilities are shutting their doors, the California legislature has passed numerous bills. We have AB 1826, organics, and AB 341, the commercial recycling, and AB 1594 to eliminate green waste as alternative to cover. SB 605 requires that 90% of organics are removed from the landfill. And if you add all this stuff up, that's 3.1 million times more of biomass materials that will be needed to be recycled in 2025. The big question is, where's all these materials going to go? So, for ourselves at Zanker, 17% of our construction waste and demolition debris is a wood product. Actually, let's go back to that. Out of that 17%, there we go, okay. Out of that 17%, 25%, it's a little bit blurry side, isn't it? 25% represents mulch and soil amendments, and which are a higher and better use for us. I wish all I could do is make mulch and soil amendments, but I produce 400 tons of biomass per day.
Is that because of the market for soil mulch, or does the biomass material have, glues, like OSB board
right.
and stuff?
It does. It has some glue and OSB board. It might have, some pieces that are painted. We do the best job that we can to get all the stuff out, but we miss stuff. It might be the stalks of roses, or a little piece of palm. It might be a piece of cabinet that still has something left on it, metals. We have lots of magnets, but we don't catch it all. So this stuff is not your 2x4 chipped up materials. This stuff, unfortunately, out of all this 75%, I might be able to reduce this down maybe another 20 or 25%, but that's about it. But when it comes to marketing and stuff, my markets are very seasonal. I don't sell compost and mulches in the winter. And when you're running a recycling operation, you're getting this material in every day. And if you don't deal with it, stockpile, you got 400 tons today and 400 tons the next day and the next day and the next day. All of a sudden you have a very large pile and suddenly you get fires. And that's what we're trying to stop it from doing.
Michael?
Yes.
Could there be a way to increase the market for soil amendments, maybe by requiring farmers to use more or something, or giving them some kind of benefit if they did use more?
I'm gonna get to that point.
More, okay.
I'm gonna get to that point because that was today's discussion.
No, I don't see any reuse there. I'm wondering,
So,
do you get like 2x4s that could be reused?
yes, but I don't.
You don't try to sell.
So
sell
what,
it.
the whole thing about reuse is, when it comes to me, I'm the end of the road. I want, when somebody wants to reuse, they're gonna tear this building down.
Yeah.
What I want is like, okay, this thing's gonna be torn down in 2 weeks. I want somebody that comes in here that's gonna do a reuse of any products they can find. They're gonna pick out 2x4s or large beams or lights or whatever. So to go in and do a deconstruction of the building is the #1 goal. And so what I work with on all the cities, including San Jose, is not just give somebody a demolition permit. Here, you want a permit, you go start tomorrow. It's like, oh, you get a demolition permit. First, you got to notify the deconstruction companies, so they will have some time to come and do that. And I think that time is 5 days. And they can come in, they can take out whatever they want to, and then the rest of it is going to come to somebody like me.
Okay, so probably, in some cases at least, some of the better stuff is taken away already.
Yeah.
And so you're getting the great.
And there's some cases like, I live in Cambrian area, and a 1958, track house. And the stuff they used to build my little 58 track house is not exactly the best quality in the world. It's not an older home or something else where you're using real wooden beams and that's beautiful stuff. It's just really hard.
Michael, when you talk about why all these services are shutting down, how come they're closing? You're going to talk about that?
I'm going to talk about that.
Good, okay.
I'm only on 19 slides.
Okay.
I got 32
I
left.
had the same question, but I expected it.
All right, so one of the big things that people always come to me is, and these are I am definitely an environmentalist, so even though I'm in the waste industry and all this, but I will get groups that say we're not supporting the biomass because you should compost all that wood. Well, this is a composting operation.
You can't compost everything.
That's right, and this is in Edmonton.
And I don't want that composted, they're composting it.
Well, that's one, that is partially the case, but the biggest case is, this is a composting operation vessel in Edmonton, and they were also composting sludge in here. And what they really like about the wood chips, when you compost, is they don't break down. And for sludge, you need aeration. So to take a little piece this big, it takes about 2 years to break it down into a product, to a compost product. Here in the state of California, we don't have a lot of composting operations. And in fact, what is on this slide? We have, by AB 1826, requires that by 2020, we have an additional 100 composting operations in the state of California, which is really kind of funny because we only have 100 right now started being permitted in 1988 to present. And there's just no way we're going to build all these facilities. So that's one case, but the other thing is wood doesn't compost.
Well, the facilities, are they state built? No, they're private.
Oh, they're private. I mean,
So how's the state going to encourage that to happen?
the state encouraged it by having mandates on materials not going to landfill anymore. So if you don't go to landfill, you got to go to another home. And they're doing this a lot of different ways, but having wood waste thrown in that whole mix is like, doesn't work that way. Things like compost, food scraps. Great, let's compost food scraps. Yard trimmings, awesome, let's do that. Let's do agricultural waste that don't have a home, but most of that goes for animal feed. You know, the lettuce holes and things like that from slings. So to some extent, we're doing a pretty good job. In other places, we're not, especially with food waste in the state of California. Oh, wrong direction.
Excuse me, how many compost facilities you say we have now?
We have 100.
We have 100, and the legislature asked for 100 more.
Yeah, 100 more.
Thank you.
In 4 more years. Yeah. So, the reason for the demise of the biomass industry is actually comes down to be pretty simple. Biomass needs between 11 and 13 cents a kilowatt to operate. And that's to gather the material, pay for the trucking, the transportation, the fuel, and all that kind of stuff. They don't get any federal tax credits. And when you're competing against solar, that gets between 6 or 7 cents, and you get the tax credits and things like that. It's not now a level playing field across the board.
Yeah, what do you do with biomass?
I didn't hear that.
What do you do with the biomass if you're not burning it for electricity?
That's a great
Just put a
question.
big pile?
That's a really great question.
No, I worked in a landfill in Mendocino County.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did. Gualala.
Koala? Okay.
Gualala. Hogwaller, yeah.
So, believing that biomass power's only function is to produce electricity is kind of ludicrous. It's like saying the landfill's only service is to make methane gas so we can run generators. It's not an apples and apples world out there. The renewable electricity from biomass is a byproduct of taking care of the waste product. So other unforeseen circumstances that we're having is the high price of materials and tipping fees. So tipping fees are the fees that people pay us to bring us materials. And so you can see in 2014, my tipping fees for that top line is my trash rate. Trash costs me more money to get rid of than recycling, my construction and demolition rates. But you can see that by 2018, it's going to be at the same rate. Unfortunately, it's already at the same rate. This is an older slide, and I raised it about 4 months ago.
I'm
So
sorry, if you wouldn't mind rephrasing these things, C and D. I think you've told us
Yeah.
before, but I forgot.
That's okay. Construction and demolition. So it's construction waste or demolition debris that has the wood components, that's 17%. That's what contains the materials. You'll also see that my clean wood rates, my normal rate is like $38 a ton for clean wood. Well, by 2019, my rate is going to be a little over $60 a ton. And why this is happening is that red line. That red line is what the biomass plants are paying us to bring in materials. Now, we're getting, back in 2014, we're getting like $24 a ton. But to do that, we had to chip all the material up, screen it, do all those kind of things, put it into a truck, and then drive it up to the Sierras and dump it.
Okay. When I throw my stuff away, I have almost nothing in trash, because I compost at home. But all my yard waste and all that goes into my supposedly composting. Is that biomass then?
If you,
They call it compost.
they call it compost, but.
And they want me to throw my meat in.
So what city?
Huh?
What city?
I don't live in the city. I'm surrounded by the city of San Jose. I'm in the county.
Okay. So you're in the county pocket?
Huh?
You're in the county pocket there?
Yeah, I'm
So-
in a little pocket, and I
So-
do not want to be in the city.
So if you have a tree you take out, and you actually have branches from that tree, a component of those materials will go into biomass. Most of those tree limbs, those pieces that will go in my mulch products. But there's a component that will go into a biomass. It's right now, I'm trying to get down to zero.
And that's pretty much true throughout the county, I mean, including the city of San Jose.
Yeah.
It's all,
Okay.
you're dealing with all.
Most of the stuff in San Jose, yeah, well, in Santa Clara County, yes. So,
But the composting bin, that yard bin goes somewhere else?
so that material goes to our.
Because I don't pile it up. My neighbors a block away put big piles in the street. but-
Okay, so that's on the street collection and the other containerized. That's good to our composting operation in Gilroy, where we make compost out of it. Last year, we sold 153,000 tons of compost. And who we sold it to? Who's our customer? Salinas, Monterey. We're selling to the lettuce producers and
Right.
broccoli and the spinach. And people go, well, I'm going to put my food waste in those containers. And we say, no, because if you do that,
The county told me to put it in there.
if we do that, then the material, when it goes to our composting operation, will not be certified organic. Therefore, I lose my market for 153,000 tons of compost. Not all of it, of course. But it's all, who controls what we do with our compost is attorneys. Because the attorneys are telling the growers what they can and cannot produce. And that's who controls our lots. But that's not a huge market. Whereas if I had a composting operation here in San Jose, I would be selling my stuff more towards a landscaping application. You try to sell it to who's going to be buying it locally. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, because then you're going to ship it. But that's new. I mean, we didn't do that till this year.
1992.
Not the county told us.
Not the county, but if you were in San Jose,
No, yeah, but I'm saying,
that was my thesis.
Right, but I'm
Thesis
saying-
on the street
the
collection.
county told us this year to put food waste in.
So
Or
like,
that, no.
So that food waste doesn't go to our facility.
Huh?
That doesn't go to our facility.
Yeah.
so I'm in Cupertino, so it's ecology.
Yep.
So I can throw soil, cardboard, wood.
Have fun with that, yep.
Well, I have fun throwing it.
Yeah, it all goes to their composting operation, and they can't sell it to organic farms, but their composting operation does, they're about 10% the size of ours, and then we go.
Do it, but, I mean, you can't be sure that, I mean, what makes it organic? The food, the animal waste makes it non-organic because,
It's an animal waste issue, it's a paper waste issue, it's a dye issue.
okay, but they're using, all these people in their yards are using Roundup, which is carcinogenic.
We know that, we do the testing, and we know what the half-life on something like that is. And you know, we test for this stuff since 1992, when we first started our compost.
Have you seen any uptick in the market for mulch? In particular, for one thing, I know the city, like in my neighborhood, in the park, they're trying to remove turf and re-landscape with some mulch. And then also, you know, we have a lot of people taking out lawns and putting in native plants and those kind of things.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, and we've seen a huge, of course, I'm the one who's pushing that. It's Lose Your Lawn. Lose Your Lawn, it's loseyourlawnnow.com is our site. Because, once again, I don't want to ship anything biomass. I want to ship stuff for compost, for my lawn stuff, my mulch, and stuff, my soil amendments and things like that. I don't want to ship biomass, but I have to.
okay, and I guess why I've got you on that subject. So, I have my front yard, I've replaced it, you know, took out my lawn, and I got, you know, and I'm getting my wood chips, you know, and probably, you know, like cedar bark or something, from Home Depot, but I don't see other, what,
They use.
you know, what, I don't see, you know, something from San Jose, I don't see something from you on the market is what I'm getting at.
So-
You know, I might be interested.
So if you go to material yards around here,
Yeah.
you go to, we have a material chart. I have 70 different products. I have 26 of them that I make myself. But some of them are virgin products like river rock and sand and gravel and things like that, and a couple mulches. You know, so I'm no different than Home Depot in a sense. But there's material yards in the county that use our materials, our compost and our mulches. You say Rockery, South Bay Materials.
Are you not dyeing your mulch?
Yes.
Or you are?
We have ones we dye and we have ones we don't dye.
Yeah, I don't want that.
We have ones that we don't dye. And by the way, the dye is all, it's not toxic,